Hello, everybody. I am going to go into Facebook and share this to my groups, and then we will dive in and get started. So let's see here if Facebook is even working today. It is so great to be back with everybody. I am very, very excited. Oh, there I am. Okie dokie. So I am going to share this in my groups because I think that's what I have to do. Oh, there we go. So Facebook will not, it used to allow us to just go straight into all the groups, and now it's not doing that. And I don't know why. What is up with Facebook? They make it easy and then they make it harder. So give me one more moment here. I just have too many groups. But I am going to get this going. And then we are going to talk about the myth that you're fine alone and really get to the truth of that. Because this is something that I hear all the time from women who are single and well, I guess, let me just see here. I still have, let's see, there we go. All right. I think I did it. I think I got myself in all the groups. Okay. The only thing I need to do is make sure, I think this is on my homepage. All right, everybody. Today, I am Lisa Shield, and I want to welcome you to Finding the Guardian of Your Soul. A guardian of your soul is not a soulmate. A soulmate is a noun. A guardian of your soul is a verb. This is a man who cherishes and adores you and sees what your soul is longing to become in this lifetime, and will do everything in his power to make sure that happens. And you will also be a guardian of his soul. And I can tell you, it is the most beautiful relationship imaginable. And I've had that with my husband, Benjamin, for the last 22 years. We're going to be celebrating another wedding anniversary next month, actually in less than a month. So I am so excited. It has been the most wonderful life. It's been the most wonderful life imaginable. And I just want to share what I have learned about love and finding guardian of your soul relationships with all of you, because I feel so fortunate to have had this. I really feel like one of the luckiest women alive, and we have many, many, many of our clients who would echo those same sentiments about their partners and their relationships. So let's see if I can help you do that too. So in this broadcast, I want to talk about the desire for a romantic partner, which is something that many of you find it hard to admit. And I understand some of you are even offended by the topic, by the mere suggestion that you should want to have a partner. In fact, many, many, many women have built up this facade that I'm fine alone. I'd rather be with my cats or my dog. I don't need a man. And that's okay. You may not need a man. But what I really want to bring up, and this is a hard topic for some of you, is that you want to have a partner in this lifetime. This is one of the most beautiful, magical parts of life. We weren't meant to be alone. If you look around you at what's happening in the world right now, there are so many devastating things going on. Many of you, your kids don't live close by. You may have some friends, but they've probably got their own families, their own kids, their own lives to live. And so, yes, your girlfriends are there for you, you're there for each other, but they also have their families and their lives. And so, having a true partner, it's not the same as having kids. It's not the same as having siblings. When you have a partner, you're there for each other. You walk through life side by side, hand in hand. And I know so many of you are thinking, well, I've tried and I've failed, and all I meet are liars and losers and cheaters and narcissists, men who are immature, they're man boys and they won't commit. And I get it. Believe me, I get it. My own father was a huge, huge, huge disappointment to me. And I, in my whole entire life, have not met enough men who I really admire and respect. Many of those men are the partners of my clients, and of course, my own husband, Benjamin. But when I look around at a lot of the men out in the world who are political figures, and a lot of men just, who I've looked to over these many years and thought, oh, wow, now that's a man who really made a difference in the world. But when I look at his relationship to women, I don't respect that man. And I've had several of those men as teachers, right? And when I decided to go out and do this work and meet the guardian of my soul and find true love, true partnership with a man, at the time I was doing this journey I started that journey for myself. I couldn't even find a person that I wanted, a relationship that I admired and wanted to emulate. And I couldn't find a teacher who could teach me how to do this. I was in several different spiritual groups, personal growth groups, and I actually left the one particular group because I was working with a teacher who taught me many wonderful things and was a wonderful example in many, many, many ways. But I did not respect his relationships with women. He was polyamorous, and I felt that was not aligned for me, whatever other people choose to do. But I certainly didn't want to be one of many. I wanted to be one of one. And I knew that I wouldn't put myself in a position like that because I knew that I wasn't emotionally equipped to handle it. So I know that many of you have been deeply wounded in this part of your life. I know that you've had your hearts broken by men you loved and adored, men that you cared for, men that you opened up your life, that you had children with. I know some of you have been hurt because you feel invisible to men. Other women, some of you may have felt like you had men who exploited your kindness. You bent over backwards. You did everything you could, and they took advantage of you and they didn't show up. Some of you have been abused mentally, emotionally, financially, or spiritually by men that you loved and that you trusted, and you've been betrayed. And I know that it's so scary. It's so scary to admit to wanting a partner, because what if there are no good men? Or what if there's something wrong with you and you just keep attracting all the wrong men? What if you're not good enough to have the kind of love and partnership you want? And so it's so much easier just to build up this wall, this facade, and resign yourself to being single and just say, well, I have my kids, I have my girlfriends, I have a wonderful career, I have everything I want. And the last thing I need is some man coming into my life who's going to hurt me again and set me back to where I was some years ago. I never want to go through that again. And I get it. I've been there myself. I've had my heart broken. I've been lied to. I've been cheated on. I've been taken advantage of. I've gone through all of those same things. I'm no different than anyone else, and neither are the women that I work with. They are all like you. They've been heartbroken in this part of their lives. And sometimes you feel like, well, maybe it's just better. Maybe the mature thing to do is just, the realistic thing to do is say, well, I'll leave it in God's hands, or if it's meant to be, it'll happen. Well, the problem with that approach is that if there are things that you're missing, if there are ways, blind spots, and things you don't know that could be corrected, and you're not working on yourself, you're not doing anything about it, then those things may never change. And to be honest with you, you may actually have some wonderful men in your life, and you may be saying yes to the wrong men and no to the right men and not even know it. When I look back over my past and I think about all of the men who were attracted to me and all the men I rejected so many guys, nice men who were really kind and good men, because I had skewed ideas of what it meant to be a real man. And so what I was looking for in a partner was very, very different than what I was looking for when I met my husband, Benjamin. And I didn't know that I was looking for the wrong qualities. So I actually overlooked and pushed away some really great guys. And when I think about it, it breaks my heart, because some of these men were really terrific. They were really great guys. I mean, were they the man I was going to spend the rest of my life with? Probably not, because I wasn't mature enough myself. But I had a lot of growing up to do. And so most of us never really learn what we need to learn in our love lives. And this is the most heartbreaking thing of all, because it's not because we can't have this, it's because so many of us just don't realize what we're doing. We do not realize that we are actually pushing away something beautiful, and we're just not doing the work that we need to do in order to find the right guy. And it really is a heartbreak. So, there are things that you can do to turn this around. I actually have a masterclass coming up. So if any of you are listening and you want to get the link to join the masterclass, I can give it to you here. But if you need us to send it to you, just write masterclass in the chat and I'll go ahead and it starts next Monday, August 19th, and it will be at noon Eastern time, and it will run for 5 days. The actual masterclass is 5 days, and then there will be 4 days of follow-up. There will be some Q&A, and there will be some special days. So the training will run for 5 days, Monday through Friday, every day for an hour. at noon Eastern time. And I just, I give away everything. I'm not hiding anything. I want you all to get this. If you feel you can implement the things I'm teaching you on your own, I encourage you to try to do that. I also ask that if you do try to do this on your own, that you actually have a little check-in with yourself every month and ask yourself, have I made any real progress? Am I actually doing the things I'm learning, or am I just sitting there gathering more information? Information is not transformation. If you don't have an actual plan for putting all of this information into practice, it's not going to happen. Nothing will change. You will just keep learning more and more and more. And the problem is, if you're not actually implementing it, then you will lose it. So you'll be spending, think about how awful this is. You'll spend hours and hours and hours reading books and watching my broadcasts, and you'll listen to my masterclass. But if you don't implement what you're learning, and when I mean implement it, you need a real structure. So if you're not doing that and you're not actually taking the things you're learning and putting them into practice on dates, you are going to lose all of that, because our retention is only about 10% of what we hear. And then after 3 months, you only remember about 10% or 20% of that. And so if I were to give you a quiz on this broadcast a month from now, you probably wouldn't do very well if you're not using the information. So getting back to the topic, let's talk about why it is so challenging to admit that you want a partner. I think the biggest reason is because you don't want to set yourself up for disappointment. If you really admit that you want a man in your life, a wonderful man, the kind of man that you may see some of your girlfriends with, the kind of guy that you dream about when you watch Bridgerton or some of these romance series on television. When you look at those guys and you allow yourself, even for that brief moment, to think, wow, I wish I could be like her. I wish I could find a man like him. And the problem is, you're scared to death because you've tried and failed and tried and failed enough times that you feel like it may not be in the cards for you. Well, the reason you try and fail is because you don't know a way out of this. And so you need that plan. You need a roadmap. You need something that will put together all of the pieces. In fact, this is one of the things our clients say all the time. They'll say, Lisa, I had all these pieces of the puzzle and you put this whole puzzle together for me. So just having puzzle pieces, listening to me, listening to Matthew Hussey, listening to Jay Shetty, whatever. If you're just listening to all of these different experts and you're getting all these different pieces of the puzzle, but you don't see how they fit together, that could be part of the problem. And so admitting that you really want this is scary because you don't see a way forward. You, in the back of your mind, if you have been with several narcissists, or you keep attracting addicts, or you keep attracting men who ghost you, if there is a pattern in your life, you're the common denominator. And if that pattern keeps occurring short of a miracle, you have to figure out what you're doing. You're the constant in that equation. So the thing that you have to look to anytime there's a repeating pattern, you have to look at the constant, because that's where the mistake is. That's where the blind spot is. And so if you don't have a plan, you're scared in your core because this keeps happening and you haven't been able to break the pattern yet. you think, well, if this keeps happening, there's something wrong with me, and maybe it's not in the cards. So I'm just going to leave it to chance, or I'm just going to resign myself to being the single person, and that it doesn't have to be that way. Another reason that some of you are afraid to admit this, or you're not, really aware that you're blocking it, is that society glorifies independence, and it makes it seem weak to admit that we need other people. And so there's a lot of pressure that leads to this extreme self-sufficiency, especially with women today, even when you're really craving connection, maybe in those moments when you're at home alone cooking dinner for yourself again, and there's nobody to sit down to dinner with. Those are the times where it hits you that, is this the way it's always going to be? Maybe you're 35 or 45 or 55, but what about 65, 75, 85? I looked out into the future and I thought, I don't want to be 80 years old and alone. And if can do anything about this, if I have a breath in my body, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I see other women with great guys. I see other women who have partners. And certainly there has to be a wonderful man for me. If I'm generous, if I have a good heart, if I'm doing all this personal growth work on myself. And you are too. You're working on yourself. You take care of yourself. Most of you are very, very attractive women. You're not needy. You don't need a man to take care of you, to pay for you, but you do need a companionship. You need a partner. You need somebody to laugh with and make love with, and somebody to tell you you're beautiful, and not just your girlfriends. So, we have bought into this myth that, I'm independent and I want a man, but I don't need a man. Well, you may not need a man to put food on the table and, sign for you to have a credit card like they did when my mother was younger. But you do need a man to bring out your feminine side. You need a man just to laugh with and play with, and to bring that masculine energy that draws out your feminine energy. All of these things are magical. Men are really good. Men are wonderful, and they do exist, and they're looking for good women. There's also a second thing. There's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. So, being alone is a physical state. Loneliness is an emotional one. Excuse me. So, being alone is a physical state, while loneliness is an emotional one. So, you can feel lonely in a crowd, or you can feel content when you're alone. The key lies in the quality of your connections, so not the quantity. Recognizing this distinction can help you address your true emotional needs rather than just seeking company. So, it's okay to admit that you sometimes feel lonely when you're at home alone, eating dinner by yourself, watching TV by yourself, working late at night because there's no one to spend time with, planning your next vacation alone. It's okay to say, yes, I do sometimes feel lonely, and I would love to have a partner there to share my life with, even just to know that I have that person in my life to pick up a phone and text or call or say, hey, you want to go out and grab a drink tonight or see a movie, or what are your plans for the weekend? Those are all beautiful, healthy human needs. So you've got to allow yourself to feel your feelings and not keep masking them with online shopping or or working all the time, or being with your girlfriends all the time. There's all kinds, or drinking alcohol or eating too much so that you don't have to feel that loneliness. There's also a psychological impact of prolonged isolation that really does affect our mental health. So we have an epidemic of loneliness in this country. We really do. It is huge. It is real. It has been written about, and look at all the people, look at all of you who are on antidepressants. Now, some people can be in relationships and be on antidepressants, don't get me wrong, but a lot of you are using antidepressants, alcohol, drugs, microdosing. I mean, look at microdosing. Look at how many people are microdosing today. I'm not judging any of these things, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, look at that and ask yourself, are these things numbing my feelings? And if I were to get off of those things, if I wasn't to have that glass of wine at night, or I was to get off my medication, what am I running away from? What am I hiding from? I probably would have taken antidepressants when I was younger because I really was suffering. And they just weren't popular when I was younger. So I never, got caught up in all of that. But I could have very easily, because I was depressed, I was down, I was sad, and, I self medicated with food. So we all suppress our feelings, but what starts to happen is, especially for somebody who has an addiction like I did with food, if you're numbing your feelings, it actually causes you to socially isolate. You don't feel good about yourself. You don't look good. You don't feel energetic or attractive. So it's very, very, very important to take a look at this. In fact, when I was dating, I actually, I was in a 12-step program. I had gone because I just felt like I had to face that part of my life. I had to look at why I was eating and numbing my feelings. And I wasn't drinking, and I was on a very strict diet when I was dating. And so I was I was present in my life and on my dates in a way that I never had been before. And it was actually a wonderful thing because I wasn't using alcohol. I wasn't having a drink at part of this program was no sugar, flour, or alcohol, because alcohol was a trigger for a lot of us. And so I wasn't doing any of that, and I was very sober, and it was crazy to date that way because I wasn't using alcohol to help me connect and feel sexy and attractive and in the moment and whatever. So it wasn't an easy process, to be honest, because I didn't have a crutch. I was just me. And it's probably why I went on almost 100 first dates before I met my husband, because I was present and conscious in a way that I had never been in my life. And I wasn't using, drugs or alcohol or anything to assist me in making a romantic connection. So that was a trip. But I also found the most wonderful man I've ever met in my life. And yeah, so there you go. Another part of this topic that I want to talk about is this I'm fine alone mentality can actually be a defense mechanism against vulnerability. So claiming that you're fine alone can actually shield you against protection, rejection, it can against potential rejection or hurt. And that's a big one. I'm fine alone. Well, let me tell you something. There's something that you're missing when you say that. The word fine, Martha Beck says, is the worst word in the English language. The F, she calls it the F word. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Fine is not good. Fine is getting by. When you say I'm fine alone, think about what you're really saying. Yeah, I'm fine. It's a defense. It's not, yeah, I'm doing great. I love my single life. I'm doing great. I'm thriving. I love where I am. Life is good. I'm getting to know myself in a way I know. No, I'm fine alone. I'm fine. I'm fine. So it's a dead giveaway when you say, I am fine. That is a dead giveaway that you're not fine, that you're getting by, that you're just okay. And what you do is you convince yourself that you don't need a man so that you can avoid the risk of emotional pain. And this is a self-protective stance. I see it all the time when I go on my Facebook ads and I'm, looking through them and reading some of the comments. You wouldn't believe the comments underneath these ads. I'm selling love. I'm selling partnership. I'm selling the most beautiful thing any woman could ever hope for, any person could ever hope for in this lifetime. My husband and I sit around and a large part of our conversations when we're at dinner together are how grateful we are that we found each other. That's what we do. We sit together and we talk about how much we love each other, how blessed we are to have this relationship, how we don't know what we would do if we hadn't found each other, and that this is the most magical thing in life. No matter what's going on, no matter if the world is crashing down around us, and there's some pretty scary stuff going on out there, but we have each other. We have each other. We can go to dinner. Our electricity went out for 12 hours the other day in a storm, and we had these great lanterns that he bought, and we sat and played poker or gin, excuse me. We played gin and laughed our butts off and, hung out with our dogs and listened to the radio. I couldn't have done any of that without him. And it was a wonderful, wonderful night. We worked together, we played together, we traveled together. We're not fine alone. And yes, being in a partnership is vulnerable because somebody can see all of who you are. If you have a weight issue, if your weight goes up and down, if you have a temper, if you're not perfect, it's vulnerable to be in a relationship. It's hard, but it's beautiful to have somebody there to witness you, to see your life, to see your growth, to tell you you get prettier every day, even though you're growing older and your butt's sagging and your boobs are sagging. But there's somebody in whose eyes you get more beautiful with time. And he lets you know that, and he means it. That's what having a partner is all about. And yes, it's vulnerable to admit you want a partner, and it's vulnerable to be in a relationship, but it's the most beautiful thing you can possibly do. And then there's just the challenge, right? The challenge. You can get bored out of your skull. Sure, you can keep yourself busy. You can go and do and travel and be with your girlfriends and your grandkids and stay busy, 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 busy. But there's a way that relationship challenges us. It's easier in some ways to do life alone. If you don't want to get dressed for 3 days, if you want to stay all weekend in your pajamas, if you don't want to leave the house, if your house is a mess, you don't have to clean it up. You don't have to, whatever, right? You don't have to answer to anybody. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody's looking over your shoulder. Nobody's saying you did a great job, or, you're falling into a funk and what's going on. You don't have to answer to anybody. When you're in a relationship, you have to think about another person, his well-being, and he thinks about yours. You do things for each other. You take care of yourself because you want to look good for each other. If you really love your partner and he's looking good, you got to look good too. You have to hold up your end of this bargain. So relationships challenge us in ways that we wouldn't be challenged otherwise. And they test us and they draw out parts of us that we didn't even know, aspects of our character, our personality that we didn't even know we had. It's the most wonderful, if you love personal growth, it's easy to sit and work on you. It's a whole other ballgame to do this in a relationship with another person. Benjamin has challenged me in the most beautiful ways to grow, to be who I am. I wouldn't be a coach today if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't be doing this work if it wasn't for my husband. Benjamin has supported me in all of my endeavors, and I support him. I'm his biggest cheerleader. He went off today. He's teaching his first class in Santa Fe. He's a body worker, the best of the best. He's an absolutely brilliant teacher. He travels all over Europe teaching, and he was invited to teach here in Santa Fe. So he's right now, these lucky students are having the beautiful, magical gift of working with probably what is the greatest body work teacher on the planet. And I don't say that lightly. He is a master. So, and I believe this. This is how I hold my husband. And think about him being a man and having a wife who feels this way about him, who believes that he is a master. And when he was leaving this morning, I was just, they're so lucky, and I'm so proud of you. And this is going to be an amazing next few days. He has been working so hard preparing for this class. So that's what you get when you're in a partnership. You get to cherish, adore, respect, love each other, be grateful for the relationship that you've found. Now, can anybody have this? I believe if you're truly willing to take off your masks, go deep, do the work, come out behind your walls, you can have this. You really can. And I have hundreds, if not thousands, of clients who would say that's true. So if you're interested in finding out how to do this, please go to my website, lisashield.com. Click the button all over the page. It's all over to watch my free masterclass. At the end of the masterclass, you can sign up for a call with a member of my team, and we will talk to you about the work we do and see if you're a good fit for our course. If you're not, we will tell you. If you are not ready to do this work, please don't think for a second that we will not tell you that we feel you're not ready. We will not take you on as a client. If you are, then we will show you what we can do. We will tell you about our process. And we will get you enrolled so that you can find your Benjamin, the guardian of your soul. Please, I know you've been hurt. I know there are reasons why, very, very, very valid reasons why you have convinced yourself that you will be fine alone. Please don't give up on the most beautiful, magical part of life, having a guardian of your soul to share it with you. I'm Lisa Shield. Thank you for listening. And please, please, please also tune in on Sundays. There is a separate episode of this broadcast called Getting Inside the Right Male Mind that I do with my husband, Benjamin, so that I can help share his beautiful mind with all of you, where we look at all kinds of different topics of men and dating and relationships from every single angle from the male perspective. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and please never give up on love. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.